Hello, welcome back to my next video on Vedic astrology. In this video I am going to talk about the effect of the upcoming Saturn transit that's going to happen on November 2nd, 2014 on Dhanus Rasi people in the world. This Dhanus Rasi is also known as Sagittarius Moon Sign. Before going over to the whiteboard, I would like to tell just a few things about Saturn. Because we generally tend to listen to good news and hate listening to anything that can possibly upset us, many astrologers usually love to tell that this Saturn is not going to do anything to you, probably using some other kind of logic. For example, Saturn, is your friend, so it's not going to bother you. So you feel very good about it, you feel elated and say, look, maybe you all guys should worry about Saturn but not me, because Saturn is my friend. Another thing about another way astrologers can sometimes give you the wrong facts is by telling you that only the middle part of the 7.5 year Saturn is going to be tough. So you just say it's 2.5 years and not 7.5 years. You'll come across lots of information on the internet like this. But the fact remains that the ancient people who wrote about 7.5 year Saturn said it's actually bad for the entire 7.5 years. And it's not that it's always bad only during the middle part or the first part or the last part, etc. So otherwise they wouldn't have called it 7.5 year Saturn. You must not think that the effects of 7.5 year Saturn is unalterable. That's the first good news, and not anything else. So there are ways and means of counteracting this transit by doing certain things. So let's compare 7.5 year Saturn to the 7.5 days of examination that we have gone through in, let's say, school or college. Will your teacher tell you that don't worry about the 7.5 days of exam, everything is going to be alright? Or is he or she going to tell you study and work hard and don't play games like cricket or this or that, and be ever concentrating on the main focus of your life? Work very hard. So this is the correct type of advice. But apart from that, there are some real ways of finding whether Saturn, which part of this 7.5 year Saturn is going to be really harmful. In another video I had already explained to you how to actually relate the transit to your Ashtavarga, or what is called Sarvashtaka Varga. So the first important point is you are headed for 7.5 years of exam time. So start preparing, work hard every day, do certain things and don't do certain things. Because I have seen, as a professional astrologer, I have seen problems for people, lots of problems, maximum problems, sometimes in the first 2.5 years, sometimes in the middle 2.5 years, or sometimes in the last 2.5 years. So there is actually no one single answer for all this. It all depends on your specific horoscope and not the general moon sign alone. So let's move on to the whiteboard to discuss this in detail. This is the Dhanus Rasi place in the zodiac. This is Mesha, and then it goes like the Aries, Taurus, and this is Sagittarius or Dhanus. If you find your moon in your horoscope here, then you are definitely a Dhanus Rasi person, and whatever I say now holds good for you. On November 2nd, 2014, Saturn leaves this sign called Tula Rashi or Libra and enters the next sign, Vrishchika Rashi or Scorpio, which happens to be your 12th. Saturn stays in this sign for 2.5 years, so whatever I say now is valid for 2.5 years as far as the Saturn effect is. So Saturn is in the 12th and Jupiter is in the 8th. Both these transits are bad. So you have to be very careful with this. As soon as the transit of Saturn starts, this is the first part of the 3 parts of 7.5 year Saturn, 2.5 years, over the moon 2.5 years, and next sign to the moon 2.5 years. So this entire zone, this entire region is called the 7.5 year Saturn zone. This transit is also known as Sade-Sati because this is just the way you tell 7.5 in Hindi. So it's actually 7.5 year Saturn, and Saturn the 12th usually means no gain. You do a lot of work, but the profits don't seem to be coming in. Then there is actually the loss of wealth through enemies. The enemies are very active during this time, so most of the time it is not because of your mistakes, it's usually the other people around you, but this is actually a payback from your past life. And the last one here is health problem to spouse and children. All that is attributed to Saturn transiting the 12th house. And supporting this, all these challenges of Saturn is Jupiter, who has moved over into the 8th sign from your moon sign on June 19, 2014, which indicates tiresome journey and bad luck, sorrow and loss of wealth. So loss of wealth seems to be the common factor here. So be very careful with your investments. Do not make investments in what is called risky places, especially share market, or wherever you suspect something, just don't do any investment. There's a great possibility that you might get into a problem. Usually it would be based on loans, and then generally there is the problem of bad luck. Bad luck will cover all this anyway, and sorrow also will cover all this. So sorrow due to the health problems to spouse and children. So this Jupiter transit, luckily for all of us, is only for 1 year, and so after a year from June 19th, 2014, Jupiter will shift into the 9th house. So he will start protecting you despite Saturn being in the 12th. So there will be some differences as Jupiter keeps moving. The most important thing is how is it that you're going to prepare for this exam. The first method is start studying about Saturn, what Saturn wants you to do. Saturn wants you to take care of the physically challenged people around you. It wants you to look at the helplessness in this world so you don't get helpless. Be very careful with fire, do not drive very fast, especially on Saturdays, on 8th and 17th and 26th, during stars that are ruled by Saturn, the 8th star, the 17th star and the 26th star, Pushyami, Anuradha and Uttarabhadra respectively. And be very generous on Saturdays, give up something on Saturday. I've always noticed that most people get into a problem with their health, especially the heart, cardio problems during sound of your Saturn. And this has been very common. And normally when a person has a problem with the heart and he approaches a doctor, the doctor is sure to tell him, change your lifestyle. So the best thing about the sound of your Saturn is change your lifestyle even before something happens to you. You can, for example, if you are used to alcohol, then you can give it up. If you are used to non-vegetarian food, try to give it up totally. And if you are not able to control all these things, at least give them up on the Saturn dominated times. I've done a video on this. The most important point here is that don't think that this exam is bad. Just remember the exams that you had faced in your past in school or college. Can you categorize an exam as good or bad? The same exam that gives good results to certain students also give bad results. So you can't really categorize it with one flat statement saying that it is good or it is totally bad. So the exact or the correct answer is depending upon the student, the effect of whatever is going to come out of the exams, the results are going to change. And the most important point is do not lower your guard. So just be aware that you have to protect yourself, wear the bulletproof dress, have an umbrella, and wear the seat belt. So this is the way you normally protect yourself from a possible problem. So it's not, you should not say that, I'm a great driver, nothing's going to happen to me, so I don't need to wear the seat belt. So that's all for Dhanus Rasi people. I hope that you have learned a few things about the upcoming Sade-Sati transits, and I'm sure you are all going to do the right kind of Saturn remedies. Out of them, the most important one is taking care of the poor and the suffering in your community. Stay away from Saturday night fever. Don't enjoy on Saturdays. And then I'm sure you're going to ask me, then when else should I enjoy life? The answer to this question is enjoy on Fridays, because Fridays are ruled by Venus, and Venus represents all the entertainment, the enjoyments in your life. And then immediately on Saturday, just start looking at other people in your community who have not enjoyed life at all. So this is the way you actually start using Vedic astrology, and not consider that we are discussing fate, an unalterable fate. My next video would be for all those people born in Makara Rashi or Capricorn Moon Sign. Until then, goodbye.